Okay. Okay, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to this week's edition of Imperial as One's Belonging series, where we explore the lived experiences for individuals from the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic communities. Individuals who have shared their experiences of what it is to gain their sense of identity and their sense of belonging. And you know what? I say this every week, and I mean it every week, but this week we have a very, very, very special young lady who's going to be our guest. And it is none other than, drum roll please, Savannah Gordon, right? And here she is. She is our scholarship student at Imperial College, and it's a pleasure to have her as our guest this morning. Savannah, I'm going to start off right by just asking. Oh, you've gone. You you've you've gone mute, and all right, I can see you again now. Right, perfect.
Sorry.
I give you all that drum roll, and then you vanish.
It was the camera. Okay.
I'm going to ask that first question, which is, can you tell me what it is that gave you or gave you your sense of identity, your sense of belonging, when you were growing up?
Firstly, Wayne, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak. I'm aware of all the amazing people you've had previously, so to be a part of them is amazing. So thank you. Um, so I would, oh, sorry, my camera keeps cutting out. Sorry. So in terms of my sense of belonging and identity, I would have to say is deeply rooted within my family. In the sense where my grandparents are part of the Windrush generation. So they came from Jamaica and then they settled down in London, where both my parents were born and raised and where they actually met as well. And in terms of like the culture and identity, a lot of it stemmed from the household, the family household, and the atmosphere that was created, which can be attributed to like foods and music and everything like that. Like my memories that I can think of normally consists of my dad playing his vinyl reggaes and just hearing reggae going out through the house, and then my mom in the kitchen cooking curry goat, I mean, rice and peas, and just the smell of it and the aroma. And yeah, so I like to say that a lot of my identity was solidified at a really young age without me even knowing. It's only like you asking the question and me actually reflecting that I'm just like, oh wow, I kind of had like a sense of self from a really young age without even realizing it. So yeah, I'd probably say my family.
So just because as you were saying that and talking about, you could smell the curry goat and you had the vinyl
Did I
play.
say that?
Yeah, you said it right.
Yeah.
Um, what you said your grandparents came over
Mm-hmm.
from the Windrush,
Mm-hmm.
but your parents were born here.
Yep, they were.
So in terms of their kind of like cultural identity as well, in terms
Mm,
of cultures from Jamaica,
yes.
but they were born here. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, where's your cultural identity, as it were? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because we're kind of like second generation.
I am, yes, yeah,
Yeah. So
yes.
how does that translate for you?
So that's a really good question. Um, compared to, for example, when my grandparents came and they were first generation, they would have had like I guess, a stronger sense of identity,
Mhm.
because they're literally leaving Jamaica to come here. Whereas for me, it's like my parents were born here, I was born here. Oh, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera. Sorry. Um,
Let's pause and just see if you switch it back off and on again.
oh yeah,
All right. All right. Let's
yeah,
try this and see.
yeah. So with my, oh, it's still doing it. I'm so sorry. Um, yes. So okay.
So, as we were saying,
Mhm.
um, being that second generation here in the UK, how's that kind of like translated for you?
It's very interesting. So, as you would expect, it's very different to what my grandparents would have experienced, you know, coming first generation from Jamaica to here. Whereas my parents were actually born and everything here. Um, it's it's weird because I would identify as British as well as Jamaican.
Mhm.
So I kind of get the best of both worlds where it's like, yes, I'm Jamaican. Yes, I'm very proud of that. And, you know, it's something that was solidified. But at the same time, I would also identify as British much more than my grandparents would, for example.
Mhm.
Um, um, yeah, so I,
Okay, so give me a sense then of when you were growing up, because you said about here you mentioned your grandparents, you also
Mhm,
mentioned your parents, you
mhm,
also talk about so like schooling. When you were
mhm.
at school, how were you made to feel? How did you feel about school? What was it? What were your aspirations? And what were teachers' aspirations for you, etc.?
Yeah, so that's a really good question as well. So the school that I went to was very diverse. When I say diverse, I mean there was a lot of minorities, which was nice. So you didn't necessarily feel like a minority because you were amongst minorities.
Hmm.
And for me, I actually did like school, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Um, and it was mainly high school where my desire for or my passion for science really stimulated or came from. I remember being in chemistry class and not really understanding what was going on. But then I made a vow to myself, you're going to understand this. You're going to. I don't know how, but we're going to understand this. And so said, so done. I understood it. Additionally, we also had sets in science. So you had top set, which would be triple science, where you take three separate GCSEs, or you do double science, where you take just two, etc. And I remember speaking to my mum about it. I was like, "Mum, there's a opportunity to do triple science." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to go for it. You know, I don't know if I'll be able to make it." And she was just like, Savannah, just go for it. Just go for it. So I did the test. And I didn't really know what to expect, you know. I was just like, let me forget about it. I'm probably not going to get in anyway. And then literally, little did I know, I ended up getting into top set science, into triple science. And I was among like the smartest people of the year. And I didn't feel like I belonged there at first, you know, which is really interesting.
But
Um,
let me explore that. Why?
mhm.
Why didn't you think that you belonged there? What was it that made you think that you shouldn't be up there?
I guess it's just seeing like these high achievers who are achieving in every sense, you know, in maths, in English, and you know, and just thinking that, yeah, I don't really fit that caliber. I didn't think that I was good enough, I guess, from a young age. And it wasn't until I got into triple science where that mindset sort of shifted. And that's where I kind of started to believe in myself more. And actually that confidence really began to grow. So that was a really pinnacle point in my life, I would have to say.
So in that sense there, because I remember you a few minutes ago you just said about the fact that you were struggling with chemistry and you said we're going to do it.
Yes.
What motivators or who did you have anyone who helped to influence you? Did you have teachers who were supporting you, or did you have anyone else as role models who was mentoring or helping you
Mhm.
to make that transition?
So at this point, no, it was more personal motivation. It
Okay.
was this personal desire to, you know, do well, you know, and you know, just so yeah. So at this point, I would say no.
Okay, so it was an inner drive.
Yes, it was.
It was an inner drive. So
Hmm.
you proved to yourself that if I set my mind to do it, I can do it.
Exactly that.
So it was
Exactly that.
that was so then having done that for the chemistry,
Hmm.
why then? I'm gonna challenge you. Why, right? When your mum said to you, just go for it when they were
Hmm.
saying about doing the triple science,
Hmm.
you'd already shown to yourself that I can do it with chemistry.
Hmm.
Why then did you really have self-doubt, or are you just putting it on for the camera to
No,
did,
no way.
did you really have self-doubt? What was it?
I did. It was that I think it's because also I was very quite young as well. And my confidence really did lack just in me as a general. And so yeah, so no, it's not me trying to be humble or anything. No.
But but it's the repetition of actually you've done it once, but could you really do it again?
Exactly.
And when you took the test the second time, that's when you said, and you got into triple science.
Yeah.
You said, now I can do it. I know I can do it. I'm doing it.
Yeah. And then I got my GCSEs, and I was very, very happy. I was very proud. Very proud.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you what you got for your G, but clearly you were very proud of it. What was your grandma and grandparents and parents saying once you got your GCSEs?
It was really nice. We were all celebrating together, and everyone was just so proud, you know. And it was just really nice. It was really nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a you know what? Although it's your GCSEs, it's the family's GCSEs. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It's the family's GCSEs. I'm going to ask another question as well then. Right? And that question is, you said that you enjoyed science. Was there any particular, when was it that you thought to yourself, science is the one for me? What was it about sciences as opposed to arts or fashion or any of those other things, which made you think of all the subjects which I would like to pursue, science is it?
So that's a really good question. And it's funny because I actually did pursue arts as well, but that's another story, and I'll touch that in a bit. But for me, I would really have to say it was after my A levels. So when I was doing my A levels, I had the desire to go into dentistry. And that's what I was going for. You know, I was going for the grades, I was doing the exams and everything to get in. And then I sort of, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the
yeah.
camera's gone, but we can hear you.
Okay. And then when I didn't actually get the offer to study dentistry, that was a bit demotivating for me. Like I had the option, or I had the offer to study chemistry in Cardiff, to study drama in another uni, but because my whole heart was set on dentistry, I was just like, okay, what do I do now? So I, instead of making an impulse decision and just, you know, just going with any course just because, you know, my friends were going to uni, my close friends were going to uni. If I didn't, you know, I'd be the only one. I kind of made the decision for me to take a year out to figure out what it is that I actually want to do. Like, am I doing this for me? Am I going to uni for me? Am I doing science for me? Is this what I really want to do? So I took the gap year. I did what most people do, you know, travel and work, which was nice. And then towards the end of the gap year, I was like, okay, what is it that you miss? I miss studying. What do you miss studying? Science, particularly biology and chemistry. And so I was like to myself, so what are we going to do about it? So I started looking for degrees, combining the two, and then I found biochemistry, which is what I majored in my undergrad, and I undertook the course at Middlesex University. So I ended up doing biochemistry, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved it.
All right, so let me you mentioned about taking this gap year, right, which is really great. All right, what kind of things did you do in the gap year? And I know you said that, did you not receive any offers? So before the gap years, did you not receive any offers to do dentistry at all?
I didn't know. No.
Did you ever ask for any feedback as to why? Or was there anyone who you could consult with to say, you know, I would like to do dentistry? What happened?
So at that point, I was really like demotivated, I'm not gonna lie, and disencouraged. And then what kind of further perpetuated that discouragement was I actually had a physics teacher at that college, and he also said, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should pursue other things. Maybe you should have a backup. And I don't know, it kind of just fed into like this self-doubt sort of thing. And then that was later confirmed when I didn't actually get into dentistry. So yeah, that was a bit tough at the time, I'm not gonna lie.
So basically, there was this teacher who wasn't in. Did you not have anybody within the school or anyone? I'm just looking at how we can help motivate young people, especially when the system seems to be stacked against them getting into medical school or dentistry.
Yeah.
Who you can turn to help keep you motivated and on track.
Unfortunately, I didn't have that at the time, or I wasn't aware of it at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you took this gap year, right? You went traveling. Where did you travel
Yes.
to?
How long do you have?
No, listen, shortened version, right? Where did you travel to?
So I actually ended up going to 10 different countries and 4 continents.
10?
And 4 continents, yeah.
I need to go read my gap year, right? I went Okay, what did that experience teach you?
It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, like about the wider world and about different cultures. And it just kind of expanded my horizons and my bubble, because it's before that year, I'd never been on a plane before. I'd never left the country other than like to go, somewhere in England or something. But I'd never actually left the country. And for me, it was just like a really amazing personal experience of mine that I'll never forget, and the memories that were created, the languages that were learned, and the people that were met. Yeah, it was amazing.
That sounds brilliant. That sounds brilliant. Was there any one or two cultures that stood out for you?
Yes. It would have to be when I went to Korea. So I actually been learning Korean prior, and then it was the perfect opportunity to go out and see if I was learning what I was learning was correct. So it was nice to go over there and communicate with people in Korean, them actually understand me. And yeah, that was nice. And then I would probably say Portugal. Just the people were just really, really lovely. So yeah.
So you went to Korea, you went to Portugal.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of Korean.
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 스바나입니다. 만나서 반갑습니다. I just said, hi, everyone. My name is Savannah. Very nice to meet you.
I'm glad you translated that, because that's amazing. So how many languages? Because, all right, you've said about the fact that you enjoy science, enjoy art, but it sounds like you've got an ear for language as well.
Yes, I do.
Can you speak any other languages?
I try to. Everywhere I go, I try to pick up a bit of everything. So like Italian, Spanish, a little bit Romanian, French, yeah.
So okay, we got a linguistic scientist here. Okay, so you saw that the world was bigger. The world was bigger than just the UK.
Yes.
The world was bigger in its perceptions, its outlooks, in its opportunities than just the UK. How then, when you came back looking at this biochemistry and you're doing your biochemistry at Middlesex, where is it that you wanted that to lead? And what encouragement did you have in that journey?
That's a good question. So for me, I guess since high school, I kind of knew that I wanted to become a scientist. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I knew that going to uni to pursue biochemistry would be a good step in the right direction. And so that kind of helped me. And then the fact that I also had the passion and the drive for it as well, kind of just cemented that even further. Because sometimes it's, I don't think it's enough to just say, I'm just going to go to uni, because you have to have a why. you have to have like that personal desire or passion for it, because there are times when things get really challenging and then you have nothing else to fall back on other than the why we started this in the first place. And there were moments where that happened to me, and I had just needed to remember and go back to ground zero of why we're here and why we're doing this.
So you mentioned there was examples when you had to go back to your why.
Yes.
Can you illustrate, or can you elaborate on any of those examples where you had to go back deep, go back to your identity, could go back to your biology, your belonging, your why? Can
No,
you?
of course. Yeah. So I know everyone thinks that uni is very easy sailing. You know, you just go in, you get the degree, and you leave. That's not really the true experience. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hard work, determination, tears, you know, sweat, and there were times when things get really tough. You know, particularly in my third year of my undergrad. You know, that's the year that's the final year. It really counts, and I just remember feeling so tired and exhausted. And I'm just like, why did I do this to myself? Like literally, I kid you not. I'm sure everyone at uni thinks this at some point. Why am I doing this to myself? Why did I put myself here? And for me, it was just going back to basics and being like, because it's something that you love. Do you know what I mean? Like this is something that you've sought after for a really long time. You know, you're good at it. You've developed it. You're becoming. Do you know what I mean? And just going back to basics, and then remembering and just being grateful for the opportunity to even be doing my degree, you know, and looking where my grandparents came from, my parents came from, you know, and here I am, you know, living this so-called dream. So sometimes just having to reflect and then ground yourself kind of gives you that sturdy ground again to start to go again. So yeah.
So in those challenging moments, it's almost a point of reflecting back on gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what you said is you looked at your grandparents' situation coming to the UK specifically so that their children and that their grandchildren would have a better standard of life than they may have had if they had stayed in the Caribbean at the time.
Exactly.
So you drew on that inner strength. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, exactly.
So, okay. So that seems to have been successful because it pulled you through that difficult time. Did you have support? Who was supporting you throughout that journey?
So I would say my family, my friends, and also I had some really amazing lecturers and teachers in Middlesex who really, really did help. And they really did believe in me. So much so that actually in my second year, two of them actually recommended me for a scholarship, which I then applied for, and then I subsequently got. So yeah, that was really nice.
So you got a scholarship. What was the scholarship for? Was it just to continue studying, or was it anything specific?
So in a way, it's kind of like a bursary. So it's by the Wykes Education Scholarship Trust, abbreviated WEST. And they're known for recognizing students of Black heritage who have had like a positive role model or experience to other students. And I just remember seeing the email one day come through from my lecturers, and they're just like, you know, we put you forward for this. Would you want to apply for it? And I'm just like, me? You know, because for me, I'm just a studious person with my head down. You know, I'm just doing my work. You know, I'm just trying to get through the degree. I'm not really one for accolades and everything like that. So then to be recognized by other people for my hard work, that was really, really encouraging.
So
yeah.
So it's interesting that you said that you got the scholarship for your work with students. Yeah, it's part of a recognition about how you work and help to develop other students.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me about what it was? Because clearly they saw something. Clearly they saw something in you. which they wanted then to recognize, celebrate, and
Yeah.
encourage. So
Mhm.
tell us what that was.
Um, I guess it was my drive and determination.
Hmm.
You know, I was always the one who had her head down, you know, studying thoroughly, you know, after the lectures, asking the questions, going to the library, spending hours there trying to make sense of everything that was just learned.
Hmm.
And then also I undertook a job where it's actually an SLA, which stands for Student Learning Assistant. So I would accompany lecturers and kind of help them in class with students who needed help. I was mainly for the biochemistry maths side, so students who are struggling with maths and biochemistry, and I would just, you know, aid them, guide them,
Hmm.
and just help them. So it would most probably be those two, I believe.
That's fantastic. So you were being a student role model,
Yes.
mentoring other students, helping them to fulfill their potential.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's excellent. That's really excellent. So what would you say were the major lessons that you learned from that time as a student working with other students? What were the benefits for you, would you say? Or not benefits, what were the lessons learned?
For me, it was really rewarding because you kind of see where you was like 2, 3 years prior.
Hmm.
So I was working with foundation students and just kind of seeing where I was at
Hmm.
and then where I am now, and then being able to help those in the position where I once was. Just that journey in itself was really nice to see, and the growth in myself and the confidence in myself and my abilities to the point where I'm actually able to help these students and teach them and help the lecturer. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it was a very rewarding experience. And you know, just the rapport and the relationship that you build with those students was nice as well. You
Hmm.
know, that where they can like see you as more than just a student or as a assistant. Do you know what I mean? And they kind of felt more comfortable coming towards you because you know you were where they once were. You can give them personal experiences of how to get through. They were asking me questions on how do I do this literature review? What's the best way to read a paper? You know, and these are all things that I've had to learn myself, and it's nice to be able to transfer that knowledge to those behind me to help them, you know, get to, you know, where I'm going or get to where I am. So it was a very rewarding experience for me.
So you were taking the time to help other people as they were traveling on their journey.
I was, yes.
Yeah, you're helping them up the ladder, giving them that little push up, push up,
Yeah.
push up. That's brilliant. Excellent. Excellent. So having where what was suggested to you? What were you what question am I trying to ask? I'm trying to find out from
Mhm.
there, from those kind of like early experiences.
Yeah.
What was your direction of what did you want to be? What did you want to do?
Mhm.
Having had all of these experiences already.
Um, so for me, it was always just being a scientist.
Okay.
I just love the idea of being a scientist and just understanding and breaking down such complex theories and you know, just the complexity of science in a way that I can understand it. So that was a skill that I actually developed in my undergrad,
Hmm.
which really did get me through it because there were some really complex situations and things that needed to be grasped.
Hmm.
And if I just looked at it in its entirety, it was really overwhelming. But
Hmm.
then over time, I developed this way of being able to then break it down even more into Savannah terms, I call it. And then I write my notes, make it make sense, and then I build it back up again to make it sound more complex. But now I'm actually understanding and I'm actually working with what I've, you know, learned. And um it was a process that I really did enjoy building, adapting, and developing. And it really worked for me. And it just made the whole experience much better for me because now I had a strategy and it was something that worked for me. And it wasn't reliant on other people. It wasn't reliant on what, you know, this person should suggested. It was purely personal, which made it all the more catering and effective. So yeah.
So, okay, that's that, Savannah, that's brilliant. That's really, and why I say that, what you have identified is that you weren't afraid to develop your own idea of how, or knowing how best you learn.
Yes,
Yeah?
exactly.
So being able, as you said, you would break it down to its lowest part as far as
Hmm.
you could tell,
Yeah,
and then you would rebuild it.
I would. Yeah.
So you would go back to the foundations,
Yeah.
then put brick by brick in a way which, what did you call it? The
Savannah Terms.
Savannah terms. Put them into
Yeah.
Savannah terms, man. I'm just scribbling this one down. Savannah terms, man. Right. So you'd break it down into the Savannah terms.
I would, yes, and then
Yeah.
build it back up. And then I formulate it into a way that I'm able to communicate it scientifically, but then also the way that I understand. So I'm not using overly big words. I'm using
Yeah.
words that I'm familiar with, words that I'm comfortable with, that I'm able to communicate effectively what it is that I'm trying to say.
Right. 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 So you went from, from Savannah terms to Savannah vocab.
There we go.
Right. Yeah.
I could have said it better myself, right?
Yeah, so you went from Savannah terms to Savannah vocab. And
Yeah.
if anyone wants to know about Savannah vocab, it's forget about all of those acronyms and
Yes, the
the
jargon.
jargon. Get rid of that. We're just dealing with the basics, or not
Yes.
the basics that you need for clearer understanding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody, and that's probably why you were so effective with the students,
I
because
think so. Hmm.
having broken it down into language that they could understand and relate to,
Hmm.
they then started to understand what it was that they may be struggling with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're determined to be this scientist. What type of scientist is it that you were looking to be? Because biochemistry is a massive field. So
Yeah.
what kind of things were hot on your agenda? What was it that you wanted to do? How were you going to get there? So
Hmm.
having finished uni, what were your plans?
That's a very good question, and you're so right about biochemistry. It's such a vast field. I was doing modules in everything, you know, in cancer therapy, in immunology, in bioinformatics. They kind of gave you a taste of everything
Mhm.
in biology and chemistry, which I loved because it gave you the opportunity to see where your strengths lie, see where your passion lies, your desire lies, to kind of help you pick your specialism. And for me, after my undergrad, I was like, okay, I do want to specialize in something, you know. And I remember doing particularly very well in immunology in my undergrad, which kind of helped me choose the course I wanted to choose. But then where I wanted to study, I had no idea. The options were just very, very vast, and the courses were very there was a lot. Basically, they would break it down into like very specific courses, and there was just a lot. And there were times when it was overwhelming for me, that I
Mhm.
had to be like, are you sure you want to do this is too much, I can't make up my mind. I'm a very indecisive person sometimes. And it was just playing on that, and I'm just like, no, no. And then it wasn't until I was actually invited to the Black Graduates Conference at Imperial in 2023, um, that kind of helped me narrow or get down to, you know, which uni. And that's where I met some interesting people. I spoke to them about their courses, and that's where I kind of decided that I wanted to go to Imperial. Just being there amongst the people and just hearing those on what on the panel had to say. Yeah, it really did spark something in me.
So why Imperial though? Why?
Why?
Yeah,
Yeah. So why Imperial?
yeah.
Firstly, it was just going there, and then also um, just liaising with Black students or students of Black heritage who already go to Imperial. you know, talking to them about what their experiences were, what it's like, you know, and just really asking those questions, which then really do help you make up your mind, as opposed to, you know, just picking a uni just based off, you know, just going there, looking at them, everything like that. This one was much more personal. You got to spend more time with them, ask them more specific questions, get their personal take and views. And also, you know, Imperial College is Imperial College. So why would I not apply to Imperial? So yeah.
So
Yeah.
you applied. What happened?
Sorry, say that again.
I said you applied to
Mhm.
Imperial. What happened?
I applied to Imperial. And then I got an offer to study, I believe. Yeah.
You believe? Did you get an offer? Did you not get an offer?
I got an offer to study at Imperial College once I applied. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what subject? Because as we said before,
hmm
biochemistry is a big area.
hmm hmm
So what was the subject area that you were going to be studying?
So I chose to study immunology at Imperial College.
Right. And so okay. So how has that been? So you've been studying, when did you start? What was it like for you?
So I started this time last year, actually. Wow. I started this time last year. And it was super intense at the start. I'm not gonna lie, it was very intense. They just threw us in. We were in the lab like 9 to 5, 9 to 6 sometimes, working on a mini research project. And it was a group project. And we bear in mind we never met each other before, and we're just thrown into a group and we're getting on. And it was super intense at the start. Actually up until December, I would say. And then we got to the research project section where 6 months of just doing a research project. And then for me, that was, I think, the highlight of the whole experience.
What was your research project on? Why was it the highlight? What's going on? Tell us.
So so my research project was a bioinformatics project, which was very interesting. And it actually took place abroad in Denmark. So I was
Jet setting
working.
again. Jet setting again, I hear. Go on then.
Yeah, so it was a project that took place abroad in Denmark, where I got to work with a partner institute called the Predict Center in Copenhagen. And I got to work with some very, very interesting and amazing scientists, bioinformaticians and statisticians, and just being able to experience that side of things. Because prior to that, the first 6 months was would I say lab work? There was a lot of lab work at the start. So I would say I got to develop my lab skills prior, and then now I wanted to, you know, develop my overall skills, my roundabout skills. I wanted to be a more rounded scientist, you know. And so I kind of went down the route of, you know, bioinformatics, where I actually had to learn how to code in 3 months. I learned Python in 3 months.
Mhm.
And then I undertook the project, which was strictly coding for the other 3 months. And I was very successful in that. I produced a very good thesis with very interesting results that we're going to be working on to potentially publish. And yeah, it was a very rewarding, incredible experience.
Fantastic. So you've done a whistle stop tour of the past year. I
Mhm.
suppose the question I should ask is,
Mhm.
what did you do, or is that a secret? Can we not ask that question live on air?
Sorry, what do you mean?
I'm asking, what did you get? Is it okay for us to ask you what you got for your? Have you submitted the thesis
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
yeah?
So I have submitted my thesis, and I'm happy to say that I got a merit overall for my MSc in immunology.
Fantastic. So that's a merit, right? So
Yes.
distinction merit. Absolutely brilliant. Well done.
Thank you so
Well
much,
done.
Wayne.
All right. So tell me, what are you going to do now? What are you up to now? We
Um,
find out about what you got.
Funny enough, this week actually. So it's
Oh,
very, very recent, very recent. Yes, I
okay.
found out this week. Yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank
All
you.
right. So tell us, what is it that you're going to be? What's next for Savannah? What are you
Um,
doing?
huh. So currently I actually work in a lab in London in King's Cross, and I currently work as a medical lab assistant.
Mhm,
And I think, well, not I think, I kind of want to progress and get promoted to becoming a biomedical scientist. So
mhm,
right now I'm facilitating as a technician role, I guess. Now I want to progress to the testing and diagnostic role.
mhm,
So I want to try my hand at that.
mhm,
Um, and maybe work at that for a year, and then I'm also considering a PhD, because if this journey and this experience has taught me anything, it's that I am capable and I am able.
mhm,
And I didn't believe that going into my master's, in my master's, it was just like, okay, we're just doing this, we're just doing this. And it was only through doing my master's I'm just like, wait, what? I can actually do a PhD.
mhm.
So I'm also considering doing a PhD. Um, so yeah, those are the next steps for me.
I'm just looking
The
at the
comments.
chat and the things in the comment, and there's a lot of people rooting for you to go on to do that PhD, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So if that's something that you want to pursue, then by all means,
Hmm.
there is definitely scope to investigate options.
Yeah.
I'm just very interested, again, just because I'm just gonna try and go back a little bit,
Hmm.
go back to go forward,
Hmm.
because you had originally said that your passion had been about dentistry.
Yeah.
Um, is that still off? Is that totally off the cards?
Um, I think so.
Okay,
I kind of like where I'm at now. I'm
okay,
figuring it, I'm starting to figure out what kind of scientist I am, and I do believe it's a cross between research and lab. So yeah.
okay. So, so I suppose one of the things which I have to do is call out to the audience, is to say if anybody knows of any PhD positions for a talented young black woman, then send it Savannah's way, right? Please do send it Savannah's way, because she's already demonstrated her abilities to be able to accomplish and achieve in this arena. Therefore, let's help to promote and get her there.
That
Oh,
would be much appreciated. Thank you so much.
that goes without saying, Savannah. That goes without saying. All right. That really does go without saying. I'm going to just say, if there are any questions from the audience, and
Mhm.
you've got about 1 minute, otherwise I'm going to start to wrap up the conversation. Is there
Mhm.
anyone who's got any questions? All right. So I'm going to ask my final couple of questions then,
Yeah.
Savannah.
Mhm.
Right. It's been a pleasure having you on for one. Um, thank you for being our guest this week. My final two questions are, okay, what advice would you give to your younger self? That's the first question.
Mhm.
And then the second part of the question is, what do you think your younger self would look at you now and say, wow?
Okay. Very, very nice questions. I would probably say, hmm, advice I'd give to my younger self. See, I want to be all inspirational and everything like that and have like these big, like nice quotes. But honestly, I would just say just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I know you haven't got it figured out, and I don't expect you to. Like, none of us would expect you to, but just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep stumbling in the right direction, is what I would say.
Okay. And what do you think they'd look at you now and say, wow?
Um, the fact that I did it, I set my mind to it. I said I was going to become a scientist. I said I was going to understand these big concepts, and I did it, and we're here.
And
We're here. So yeah,
I,
yeah,
I, I'm just looking back at the Savannah terms to Savannah vocab. Yeah, I
yeah.
think those are being able to know how to break down complex ideas,
Hmm.
right, and then to rebuild them.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. You know, I'm just thinking about it. I just wonder if it's because part of your ability in the fact that you're able to hear languages,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because not everybody has that skill to be able to listen and
Mm.
hear
Mm-hmm.
language. I wonder if that's using that kind of combination of hearing the
Mm.
language of the science,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
then able to break it down.
Yeah.
And then when you reconstruct it, you
Mm-hmm.
reconstruct it with greater clarity because you've
Yeah.
then taken out the jargon. I don't,
Wow. Yeah, no, you're saying it and it's making sense because that's literally how I learn other languages. That's how I learn like how to say words and everything like that by breaking it down and writing it in Savannah, literally Savannah words, Savannah terms.
see,
Yeah.
I don't, but that's so it could be that the two are intricately linked.
Yeah.
The way in which you learn is that process which
Hmm.
helps. So um maybe it is something that you should look at, you know,
Yeah.
because that might also be another conduit about being able to translate scientific um literature, scientific experimentation
Hmm. Hmm.
into ways which is accessible,
Yeah.
more accessible to a wider range of people.
100%. Yeah.
You know, that's always needed. That effective communication of science is
Hmm.
an incredibly important thing. All right. I'm
Yeah.
just seeing, I'm just seeing some love coming in on the chat. Not a question, just like to say, it has been wonderful hearing your story, Savannah, and I have to say that you are a remarkable young woman with such an incredibly bright future ahead. Truly,
Oh,
truly inspirational. Continue working hard, thriving in life, and empowering others to aim high and achieve. I look forward to following your journey. All right.
that's beautiful.
That
Thank
is
you.
absolutely beautiful. All right. So, Alicia, thank you for saying those words. So, Savannah,
Hmm.
don't know what happened to the camera.
I
Someone was
know.
trying not to have you on today, but you know what? I got your image. You sent me a beautiful image of yourself, so I've had
Thank
that
you.
as our avatar for the afternoon. All right. And I
Yeah.
just want to say a real big thank you and congratulations for working hard, for knowing what works for you,
Hmm.
sticking by your guns, and
Hmm.
going ahead and getting it done. All right.
Yeah.
Well done. All
Thanks a
right.
lot, Wayne.
And keep going, right?
I will too.
And
Is there?
there was another comment above, which was Savannah. This is very insightful, and I am tempted to recruit her to come and talk to young professionals as part of the Chartered Institute of Highways and Transplant Transportation,
Mhm.
the Southeast region. I
Oh,
the events officer, wonder if she would be interested. So you're getting offers already, Savannah, right? You're getting off. Um, I don't. Ala, Ala. Sorry, I'm going to say your name badly, so I'm not going to say it. But you've got an offer there,
mhm,
Savannah, as
mhm.
well. All right.
Yeah,
So, if you want to either send me your details and I can pass them on to Savannah, or message her directly, then please do. We'll stay on for a couple minutes at the
mhm.
end of this, once the recording stopped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say another really big thank you, Savannah, for for your being our guest today, and also I'm going to just let people know what's happening next week.
Yeah,
So next week we're going to be having, well, not next week, sorry. Next week we've got a careers conference, um, And then the week after, we will be hearing from Sickle Cell World News and Reports. So hopefully we'll be going back to our sickle cell and also Black History Month, because we'll be in October and it's about reclaiming the narrative. So what's the stories? So as we've been doing, if you want to go to our YouTube channel, which is tinyurl.com/belonging-IAO. You'll be able to see Savannah's and many other videos of people who have shared their experiences of what it is to belong. Finally, Savannah, you need to get this book. I'll get you a copy, right? Which is The Black PhD Experience, Strength, Courage and Wisdom. Book, it was out last week, but please scan this scanner and you'll get a link to where you can find this book. Thank you, Luckman. Right, it was Luckman who has been sending you the message about doing the transport and talking, right? So we'll get in contact with him with them afterwards. But yeah, going back to the Black PhD experience, great stories, great experience, great insight into what it means to do a PhD. So I will share the link again for in the chat. And then it's just to say now, a big thank you to all of my guests, all of the guests on Imperial as One's Belonging. It's been great having them. It's been great having Savannah. If there's any guests that you'd like us to interview, then please feel free to contact us and make some recommendations. Or even if you think that you'd like to be a guest, contact me and we can see what we can do. Okay? But until next time, have a great week. And as I said, well done and have a great week. Thank you. Anyone who wants to stay on, please feel free to do so.